Alright, welcome to my 11th tutorial on LibGDX, and I actually recorded this tutorial already, but afterwards I noticed that the sound was way too loud and it was just horrible for the ears. So I have to record it again now, and I'm sorry if I forget something or whatever, because I probably think I already did it. Okay, so at first let's have a look at how our game is right now. We got the splash screen and blah blah blah. And you see I added this settings button here. Well, it's pretty much just a new screen, and you know how to make these screens with GUIs and stuff. It's just a table again, here's a label, and the only thing that's new here is this checkbox and this text input. They're not really complicated, it's just in the same package you got these checkbox and I think text field or text input or something. And actually let's have a look in the code. Well, and this is the same as well. So the settings menu is pretty much just a new screen, how you know it, with the stage, the table, the skin and everything. The only thing new is this checkbox and the text field. So of course you need skins for these, and like I say here, they are new. Let's look at the JSON file. Let's just delete that because we're doing it right now. So here we go. In the JSON file we have this checkbox style and text field style. It's pretty much just the same as it is usually with like everything else we have. To see what you need, you just go into the text field class, scroll all the way down, and there it is, text field style. So here you see these are all optional, and I think the variable names are self-explanatory, and yeah, it's not really this complicated. You can have a look at the source in the Bitbucket repository that I just made, because that's better than, you know, hosting it on my website. Let me just show you that real quick. You would just go to, usually you'd go to my website stuff and then you know the URL, but this is all you find there. You just click on source code and you go to bitbucket.org/demetfan/breakpoint2, and here we go. So I think this is just nicer to look at the source code. So here is the source code for the settings. It's really not this complicated. It's a little bit with the preferences that's new, and the two buttons there. The checkbox and the text input. Let's actually, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's actually have a look at the preferences stuff in LibGDX. So, well, this all looks a little bit yeah, how can I show it to you in here? Well, let's just go all the way down, like, I don't know, here and pause. I'll just show you what all the preferences stuff does. So there is this gdx.app, and there you got get preferences, and you have to put in a string. For example, I usually just use blackpoint2.title, which is the thing that we set right here. The string we put in here should be usable as a file name, because later the preferences are going to be saved as a file name. So here now you got this preferences. You can put booleans, floats, integers, longs and strings in there, or just a map which contains all kinds of things. Pretty much just these here. So for example, to say we want to, I don't know, enable full screen, you can just put a key in there. Full screen is going to be the key, and value is going to be true. So now this sets the full screen to true. It doesn't actually set full screen to true, but it's saved in the preferences. To get that later again, we go gdx.app.getPreferences, and we have to put the name of our preferences file in again, and then get boolean, and the key is full screen. So it's actually pretty simple. And why we have to put in the name here is because the preferences are actually saved in your home directory and then in this .prefs folder, and there we go, black.2. That's the preferences file. It's just an XML file. If we open this up, we can see we got the level directory and the vsync, which was where the stuff we had in this settings menu before. So this way the settings are still the same even if we exit out and go and do the application again. What else is there in the preferences? Whatever. Yeah, I think that's actually all. Oh no, of course not. We can do clear, which, well, it clears all the preferences, so there's nothing in there anymore. We have contains, so if, for example, the full screen key has some value in it, and if this full screen key actually exists. And one thing that's pretty important is, flush. This is flush. So flush is pretty much just, I mean, usually they the settings are saved automatically, but if you are exiting out, you should do flush, because this way the settings that we have in memory are going to be written to the file that we put here. So this would not work because that's not usable as a file name. We have to do black.2.title. So this flush is called down, I don't know, settings. Here, if we click on the back button, we flush and all the settings are saved. Okay, so that's it for the settings. What does she say? What? I don't know what that means. Okay. Good. So now we have the setting stuff, but we have some more things to do. At first, I made a new method in this level menu screen, and that is this setup table, and pretty much it just does all this stuff we already know, but I put it in in an extra method because we use this table.getWidth divide by 3, and if we set the width here of some cells and we use the old width, this is gonna screw things up. It's just uses the old width and not the actual width. If and we want to use it in this resize, so it's just gonna screw everything up. I think it's not too complicated. You can try it out to put it in here and then to do table.setSize, but this way it won't work because the cells are already set to the old size, so we have to do it all again. So we're done with this. The tell bug story is actually not this important, but I can show you the bug. Well, actually I'm going to tell you the whole story because it's just easier to understand. So I noticed that, yeah, the application runs fine, it's all good. Let's just have a look at it. It's all good. Here we have the splash screen, and then we have the menu screen, and you think it's all good, but here in the splash screen we are disposing stuff, right? I mean, we think we are. We put this dispose stuff in the dispose method, and if we set the screen to another screen, it is logical to think that the old screen is going to be disposed, but it's actually not. Let's have a look in here. What setScreen does is it calls screen.hide on the old screen and then sets a new screen, so, and resizes it and calls a show method, but whatever. It just called screen.hide. There is no screen.dispose in this whole thing. So actually, let's just put a dispose in there, and that's what I think would be good to do, because, you know, hide, dispose, and we're disposing everything. That's good. But actually what happens then is pretty weird. It doesn't work right now because I already started it. So we got this pose here and the main menu. Let's put this pose here as well. I just put this pose everywhere. in every hide method. Dispose and the settings, dispose. So that every time we change the screen, it calls hide and therefore it disposes everything we have. Now the problem with that is that, yeah, that's good. The problem with that is, well, it's hard to explain. It's a really weird bug that I had. So I click play, and what's that? The whole Java runtime just crashes. There is no error message, there is nothing, it just crashes. And that is because if we have a look at the splash screen here, in the tween manager, there is this tween.to, this animation that in the end sets the screen to a new main menu. So if we click the button, we set the screen to a new main menu and in this place. And if we're setting the screen to another screen, we call screen.hide. So hide calls dispose, and this means that this dispose method here disposes the batch and the splash, so all we need right here. Here, and then we try to use the disposed batch and the disposed sprite, but they are actually disposed and don't really exist anymore. They still do kind of exist because they are not set to null or anything, but they are disposed, and this is just really weird, and it just all crashes. So the solution to this is pretty simple. We just move this down there, and there we are. That's it. Because now we draw it and then we dispose it, and yeah, this works. So let's do this in all the other screens as well. So we are safe for later. We don't have any tween manager here, and we don't have any tween manager here, and that's here. We don't have one here as well. So now the game is fine. We are not we are disposing everything, so we don't take all the memory. And it works. Alright. I actually tried out, I actually had a look at how much memory we take if we did it the old way without calling dispose and hide, and yes, it took up a lot memory in a very short time. Every time we switch the screen, the old screen still exists and takes up memory, and that's of course not good, and especially on Android phones, stuff will go down after a certain amount of time, pretty fast. So, alright, I think that's actually all. Let's have a look. Oh, it's not all. One thing I wanted to do is to refactor all this font sizes stuff. Right now, let's have a look at the menu skin.json. Right now we have the font white 64 and black 64, and the same in 32 and another time 32 pixels. So default is 64, and 64 is actually pretty big. So I just think it's better to put one more in. That's gonna be called. Let's just copy this. That's gonna be called 16, because it's gonna be 16 pixels, and we need one white as well. White 16, and this is going to be called this is going to be small, so we just do 16 here, and default is gonna be not 64 pixels but 32. So then we need one that's big, and the comma, and this is gonna be white 64 with the font color white. So this was for the label style. Now for the text button style, default small, and we need one big. So black 32 is going to be default, 16 is gonna be small, and big is gonna be 64. Big. The rest doesn't have anything like that, so we don't have to care about it. But, oops, what's this? But we didn't actually create these 16 fonts yet, so let's just do that real quick. bm font options, font settings, Okra std, and 16. That's it. You can actually just press T and it goes to the export settings. So we're gonna use a PNG file, and we're gonna use white text with alpha, and it's gonna be 32, so no. Alright. And because we're just using 16 pixels height, we can set this to, I think, 80 works. We put in these, we put in general punctuation and currency symbols, and yep, it's just one page. Alright, so save this as white 16. T for the export options, and black, save black 16. Alright, now we just have to put them, where is it? Font. Yeah. Now we just have to put these 16 fonts, where is it? There. Inside the font folder right here. We're still not done. We need to change it in the code. So in the main menu we have, where is it? Here. Creating the heading. But the heading is now gonna be big, because if we don't put anything there, it uses default, but default is now one number smaller. The play one is gonna be big as well. Settings is not gonna be small, because this font size is now default. Exit is gonna be big, and that is all we need, isn't it? Yes. For the level menu we need to do the same thing. Blah 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 blah. Text button play is now big. Small is now default. And that's already it. Settings. Where is it? Here. VSync is actually, no, that's checkbox, that has nothing to do with it. The text button is now default, and this is now default. And because this uses this table.add, we can actually just use this method here, where it just gives in this string, because this creates a new label with the label style default, so we don't have to say it is default. This is now big. Is it? No, 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 no. I just changed that. Oh god, the previous recording was way better. Anyway, I think we now changed it everywhere, so let's run it and see if it still looks the same. It still does look the same, but it was a little bit weird. And this doesn't look the same. Yeah. Oh, I think I know why that is. Let's now watch out. There is a small, I don't know. Did you see that? The menu was down here and then came down. That's because the tween manager is now first updated once we already draw everything. So let's change that. Just when we are done with everything, we just call tween manager dot update in the end. But so set everything, but we cannot put delta here because there is no delta variable in this method. So we have to go gdx.graphics.getDeltaTime. Pretty simple. Now this should be fine, and let's just copy, oops, let's just copy this whole line, and there is a parenthesis missing. What am I doing? Let's just copy this whole line and put it right here again in the show method of the splash. Level menu doesn't not have anything like that, so we should be all fine. And there it was, this one heading that still was too small. It was in the play screen, I think. Yeah, right here. Select level. Now has to be a new label, which says select level, the skin, but it is now big. Alright. So now I think we are done with everything. What the hell was that? Anyway, let's just see that again. What was that? That works. It doesn't fade in. That's kind of weird. Splash. We once updated it. Oh, because they're yeah. GDX.graphics.get delta time. In this place there is no delta time really, because this is the first, and so this returns 0, and therefore yeah, therefore if we updated the tween manager with a value of 0, it also changes everything like 0. If you take anything times 0, it just says 0. So this set and everything else just won't do anything. I think that's the thing. So let's just put something really low there. Actually, float.min value. This is just a really, really small number, but it does something. So now it works. Alright. This works without crash. This works without crash. And just the whole application works. So, okay. We're done here. Thanks for watching. Check out the source and Bitbucket if you have any questions for this setting stuff or the level menu or whatever. Just ask in the comments. I'll try my best to answer. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.